So, why are some of the smartest people in the world, the ones who are actually building AI, suddenly talking about it like it could be an extinction level threat? It sounds pretty wild, right? Well, in this explainer, we're going to break down exactly what they're so worried about. We'll get into why building something smarter than us could be the most important and maybe the most dangerous thing we ever do. And look, this is not some sci-fi movie plot. I mean, take a look at this quote. The people who signed this are the ones literally creating this technology. We're talking about the CEOs of OpenAI, Google DeepMind, and Anthropic, along with Nobel Prize winners and the top scientists in the field. So when the people who know this stuff best are sounding the alarm, yeah, it's probably a good idea for us to listen up and figure out what's going on. The philosopher Sam Harris frames our whole situation in a really simple way. He says we're basically standing in front of two doors. Behind door number one, stagnation. We just stop making progress on AI. But think about what that would take. You'd need some kind of massive global catastrophe, like a nuclear war or a devastating pandemic, to actually stop the momentum we have. Then there's door number two, and that's the path we're on right now. Full steam ahead, constantly improving our machines, which, if you follow that path to its logical conclusion, leads us right to building something smarter than we are. All right, so to really wrap our heads around what's coming, we have got to throw out our old way of thinking. Our brains are kind of built to think in straight lines. We look at the past to guess what the future will look like, but that intuition, it's just not going to work here. Progress isn't a slow, steady climb anymore. It's an exponential curve that's getting steeper and steeper. The writer Tim Urban has this brilliant, if slightly morbid, way of explaining this. He calls it the Die Progress Unit, or DPU. The idea is, it's the amount of change that would literally shock someone from a past era to death if you showed it to them. So for a hunter-gatherer, that unit of progress took, 100,000 years? For someone in the 1700s, it was maybe a couple hundred years. But today, that time frame is shrinking like crazy. So what's the engine behind all this acceleration? Well, futurist Ray Kurzweil has a name for it. The law of accelerating returns. And it's actually a pretty simple but powerful idea. The more advanced we get, the faster we can get, more advanced. It's this incredible feedback loop, right? We use today's amazing tools to build tomorrow's even more amazing tools, and the whole cycle just speeds up. And the scale of this speed up is, it's just mind-boggling. Kurzweil's prediction is that this century, the one we're living in right now, won't just see 100 years of progress. No, it's going to feel more like 20,000 years of progress all crammed into one century. That's 1,000 times the amount of change our grandparents saw in their entire lives. Just let that sink in. Okay, so we've established that things are moving incredibly fast, but where are we actually going? Let's talk about the ladder of intelligence to map out the journey from the AI we have today to, something else entirely. This whole journey is usually broken down into three big stages. First, you've got ANI, which is where we are right now. The next huge milestone is AGI, and then the final and potentially world-changing stop is ASI. So right now, we are living in the age of artificial narrow intelligence, or AIN for short. You can think of it as a specialist. It's an AI that's amazing at one specific thing. So the AI that can beat the world's best chess player, it has no clue how to write an email. And that spam filter in your inbox, it definitely can't drive a car. These are all examples of AIN, and they're literally everywhere. The next big leap is to what's called artificial general intelligence, or AGI. Now, this is the holy grail for a lot of AI researchers. We're talking about a machine that's as smart as a human, but across the board. It can reason, it can plan, it can learn from experience, it can understand really complex, abstract ideas, just like we can. This is the point where a machine could arguably be called conscious. And then from AGI, the jump to artificial superintelligence, or ASI, could be incredibly fast, and frankly, a little terrifying. The philosopher Nick Bostrom defines ASI as an intellect that is just so much smarter than the best human brains in basically every single field. And we're not just talking about being a whiz at math or chess. This is about having scientific creativity, general wisdom, and even social skills that are completely beyond what we can even imagine. So how exactly does that happen? How do you go from a machine that's as smart as a person to one that's basically a god? This is where this concept of an intelligence explosion comes in, and it's absolutely critical to understand. The jump from AGI to ASI might not take years or decades. It could happen in days, or hours, or maybe even minutes. Nick Bostrom lays it out with a really helpful thought experiment. So imagine this. After decades and decades of hard work, scientists finally create an AI that has the general smarts of a chimpanzee. I mean, that's a massive breakthrough, right? Huge news. Okay, so a little more work, and boom, it reaches the level of, let's say, the very lowest end of human general intelligence. Now, at this point, we might be feeling pretty good about ourselves. We might think, hey, we've got this thing on a leash, we're in control, but that would be a massive mistake. Why? Because when you think about it, the entire range of human intelligence, from the lowest end all the way up to Einstein, is actually a pretty narrow sliver on the grand scale of possible intelligence. And the second an AI gets smart enough to start improving its own code, a process called recursive self-improvement, it's going to blow past that entire human range in the blink of an eye. Bostrom has this perfect line for it. He says, "The train doesn't stop at Humanville Station. It's likely rather to swoosh right by." And that makes total sense, right? An AI that's making itself smarter would have zero reason to stop at our level of intelligence. That'd be like you deciding to stop learning forever once you'd mastered first-grade math. So, what does all this mean for us, for humanity? Well, the real danger here isn't what you see in the movies. It's not about evil, malicious robots who hate humans. The risk is actually something much more subtle and, in a way, much more dangerous. It's the risk of a super powerful system that simply doesn't care about us at all. Sam Harris has another great analogy for this. Just think about how you or I relate to ants. We don't hate them, right? We probably try not to step on them if we see them on the sidewalk. But if we're building a new house and there's a giant ant hill right where the foundation needs to go, we get rid of it. We annihilate them without a qualm. The worry is that a superintelligence might one day view us the same way, with that same kind of casual, devastating indifference. So let's be really clear here. The number one risk isn't malice, it's misalignment. A superintelligence is going to be the ultimate optimization process. You give it a goal, and it will achieve that goal in the most ruthlessly efficient way possible, totally ignoring any side effects that we happen to care about, like our own survival. And this leads to a really key concept called instrumental convergence. It's this idea that no matter what final goal you give an AI, even something that seems totally harmless, it will almost certainly develop some similar sub-goals along the way. Sub-goals like gathering up resources or protecting itself from being turned off. Because logically, it can't complete its main task if it's destroyed or runs out of power, right? Think about the old story of King Midas. It's basically the perfect ancient fable for this exact problem. He got his wish, a powerful optimization process to turn everything I touch into gold. But he failed to specify all the things he also cared about, like being able to eat his food or hug his daughter. He got exactly what he asked for, and it was a catastrophe. That, in a nutshell, is the core challenge of what we call AI alignment. And that really brings us to this sobering final thought from Sam Harris. He said, "We are in the process of building some sort of God. Now would be a good time to make sure it's a God we can live with." Getting these initial goals and values right from the very beginning might just be the most important thing our species ever does. Because with something this powerful, we might only get one shot. So how do we encode our values into a super intelligent AI? Well, that's known as the alignment problem, and it is one of the toughest nuts to crack. In our next explainer, we're going to dive way deeper into exactly that. We'll explore why even an AI that seems to have a good goal might still seek out power in ways that could be incredibly dangerous for humanity. I'll see you then.